Hey everybody, it's Jason O'Phil and I'm your Gay Geeker, and today I have Mr. Ricky Middlesworth with me. This is a lifelong DC enthusiast
It's true.
and Marvel watcher. Today we're going to be discussing not only Batman v Superman, but Civil War, which just opened in theaters around the world and is raking up a lot of money and killing your friends at DC Films.
They sure are. I'm the first to admit.
Oh, murder. It's been a slaughter.
These are the moments that make life worth living.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
I'm not here to hate on Marvel at all because I enjoy these movies. I just my heart is with Batman.
Black rubber.
It's an interesting place to be in right now, seeing the climate in which these franchises currently live in.
How does DC get so far off the reservation?
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you.
When one studio has an insurmountable amount of pressure coming from all sorts of places.
Absolutely.
Where Marvel, not that they don't have pressure, but, you know, they had it in the bag from the get-go. Warner Brothers had the pressure coming in with the poor reception, well, mixed reception of Man of Steel, the success of the Dark Knight trilogy being over. They had the pressure of, you need to do things the way Marvel's doing them, and you need to establish the Justice League.
No good decisions come from pressure.
Civil War's success, to me, is its laser focus.
Yes.
Batman versus Superman's defeat was its lack of focus. They were using Dark Knight Returns, Death of Superman, all these different comic books for spare parts to make this like hybrid machine of a movie. You got to prioritize, and if the script isn't there, then it's not a success. And I think that that's the power in what Civil War did, is that they had a really sharp script, and it's the greatest failure of Batman Superman because they did not have a sharp script, and it turned into something that it was never intended to be.
Note to WB, get rid of David Goyer. Just get rid of David Goyer.
I think it's a Zack Snyder thing.
It is what it is, you know.
So if we're talking about script and these two movies specifically, obviously both of them center around their two most popular heroes at odds with one another, which is an interesting idea. One script had a very weak motive. The other script had a very strong motive. It wasn't earned like we've been talking about, because there's so many films leading up to Civil War that earned this conflict, and it meant a little bit more.
But he's my friend. So was I.
And I think they have grown to fully understand these characters, where I don't think Zack Snyder understands these characters.
You don't know this world a thing.
It's clear that he doesn't, and it's clear that he didn't see in the editing room that there wasn't justifiable reason for these two guys to go after one another, and there wasn't justifiable reason for them to stop fighting.
Why did you say that name?
It's his mother's name.
Martha. Martha.
It's the worst thing about that film, and I think that Civil War was very smart in giving them a very interesting reason to fight. And
one that what I loved about it is that you didn't actually disagree with Team Iron Man. You didn't disagree with Tony Stark's reasoning on why the Sokovia Accords were important. And you didn't disagree with why Steve Rogers, Team Cap, said, we don't want to do this. They both made valid points.
The thing with Marvel is that a lot of their themes lately, to me, have been very bipartisan. I'm a little exhausted by that idea, just in the whole political world that we're in right now in 2016.
All right, I'll be mayor.
I'm a little tired of the bipartisan thing, and that was just the center of the Civil War conflict, and it was a lot of what we saw in Winter Soldier.
Yes.
So that's where I am dedicated to DC, and it comes from a theological place, a spiritual place. It comes from more pain.
The feeling of powerlessness.
The thing is that you just have to have a strong story to back that, and they didn't. And I hope that they fix the problem.
Well, they could. They could just fire Zack Snyder, but that's not happening.
I agree.
So I don't know how else to do it 100%.
You know, a conversation that we can have is the fact that Batman vs. Superman was in production and filming before Marvel announced Civil War. They went back and changed a lot of stuff because they didn't want to have it feel it be, you know, their response to Civil War.
I mean, they were making that film up as they went on. We all
Absolutely.
remember that delay that it went through and the rewrites and everything.
Thank you, Doomsday.
Doomsday was never supposed to be in that movie.
Nope.
It was only supposed to be Batman v Superman.
Whatever happened to the concept of less is more?
But less is more than just think how much more and more will be.
So the fact that they've wasted that character and shoved him in the last 20 minutes to kill Superman, it's fan service, and it didn't service us because that's a very important storyline that you've kind of thrown away.
If you were trying to chase what the fans want, you're going to wind up with a mess of a movie.
And Superman's death was not earned. If you were looking at that script or if you were looking at that cut of the film, any really solid director that understands storytelling would have seen the blaring holes in that.
What I think the DC is failing, whereas Marvel is succeeding, is I care. So when we have all these battle sequences, especially halfway through Civil War, where they're fighting each other, I care about this. I care about what these characters are doing. It's very telling when you have a line between Black Widow and Hawkeye.
We're still friends, right?
Depends on how hard you hit me.
We didn't have that in Batman versus Superman. It resonated for me because we've established that those two are really good friends.
Right. I think this movie was character-based because we learned a lot about Tony and Steve and Bucky, and it wasn't necessarily about bringing some big bad alien into New York City. At times, it made me forgive some of the things that Batman Superman did. For instance, the way they introduced Wonder Woman didn't have a lot of weight to it, didn't give her a lot of reason to be there.
She's looking for a JPEG.
That woman deserves her revenge.
I saw Civil War doubling down on that because their introduction to Spider-Man, while I enjoyed it, if you pulled him out of the film, it kind of would have been the same film.
Yes.
They were just setting up another franchise. I get it.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, we don't really need to start a conversation.
I just saw this movie servicing a lot of intellectual properties, which is fully intentional on their part, but again, it stuck out like a sore thumb to me. Am I glad Spider-Man was there? Yes. I thought he was great casting, he's adorable, I can't wait to see his movie, but it was a little pointless.
Serious?
And I do want to discuss this really quick, is the villain. Lex Luthor is such a colossal misstep in Batman v Superman.
Fight night.
And then you look at David Rule in Civil War playing Zemo. This guy does nothing. I mean, he does do a lot, but it looks effortless, and he destroys the Avengers. And Lex Luthor is basically building Doomsday to destroy Batman v Superman and kidnapping Martha Kent and doing all these crazy things that are so on the nose.
Yeah.
And I think Marvel has had very weak villains outside of Loki. This is a movie where the villain wins.
DC failed big time with Batman Superman when it comes to the villain, because what's so strong about DC, especially the Batman universe, is that they have the
rogue gallery is
best
amazing.
villains of any comic book out there.
Sweet talking me.
And the fact that they kind of screwed up Lex Luthor, and I think it has to do with, one, miscasting, and two, the editing and leaving holes in the script. All three of those things are attributed to Lex Luthor not working. Big mistake. He's a very interesting character. Shame on DC.
I feel like such an idiot, so I'm embarrassed. Carry on.
I'm really glad that Civil War knocked this out of the ballpark and DC scrambling, because I'm really hoping that means we're actually going to get really good DC Universe stories. And I'm really hoping that DC is looking not only at the critical success of Civil War, not only looking at the box office success, but I hope they're looking at the audience response and going, you know what? We need to fix this. We need to fix this now. And this is what we have to do, because I don't want to see a Justice League movie where I don't want to see part 2. If Batman vs. Superman is a response to Man of Steel, which I don't think is an awful movie.
No.
But if that's how we're going to respond to that and make that, I just don't want to see them continue to go to the bottom of the barrel with their response to Batman v Superman with Justice League.
The fact that their biggest moneymaker heroes coming together in coming together in one film didn't make $1 billion, it's not a success. Going forward, I think DC needs to find someone, whether it's Jeff Johns or Ben Affleck, or in my opinion, bring Paul Dini in there.
Oh my God,
He
why
understands...
can we not bring Paul Dini back?
I can do it myself, thank you. Ow!
Bring Paul Dini in. He understands these characters. They need someone to really fully support these characters going forward. It's not Zack Snyder. If we're looking at these two movies back to back like they are, Marvel, good on ya. You got it right. You've been getting it right. And DC, you still have a lot of homework to do. I love you. I want you to come back to me. You mean a lot to me. And that's why this hurt so bad.
If I disappointed them in any way, then I really want to apologize, because it wasn't my intention. My intention was just to entertain them.
You have failed me for the last time.
All right. I'm Jason O'Phil. I'm your Gay Geeker. I want to
Thanks
thank
for having me, Jason.
You're welcome. I want to thank Ricky Middlesworth for being with us today.
Have me back for Suicide Squad. I'll have a lot to say.
Oh, I know he will. Don't forget to like my Facebook page, follow me on Instagram, or subscribe to this channel. Just look up Gay Geeker, like Tigger.
T-I-double-G-er. That spells Tigger.
All right. And don't forget, it doesn't matter if you're straight or gay, because we are all born geeks. I'll see you guys next time.
Trying to be as tall as you, and my foot was going asleep.
It's okay. You want a pillow?
Yeah.